And welcome back to those of you watching on the via the Patreon website. We appreciate the support. Even if you haven't become a paying member yet, we're doing this so we can really build up the entire channel. And as in the description about this specific account, we explain who I am. And I'll go ahead and introduce myself again here verbally. My name is Brandon, and welcome. I began taking flying lessons at the age of 8, and you can read all about me that what they put in my description. And anyway, the deal was for a paying patron to choose where we were going to fly in this first adventure, which is from the state of Washington, Northwest Washington, out of, if I can pronounce the name correctly, Quillayute. I hope I am. Quillayute. If someone out there is from Washington State or the Pacific Northwest, do let me know, as I would love to really know how to pronounce it properly. So let's just do a quick walk around, check it out. The the paying patron, they actually messaged me and they said that they wanted to see the Dornier Seastar. I said, all right, we can make that happen. The adventure here is leaving the lower 48 and remove those as well. This, by the way, let me just show it real quick and I'll continue talking about the adventure here. Okay, see that little propeller right there? That is our bow thruster. So we can enable that when we land in the water, which we will be because we're flying up to the Canadian-U.S. border. We're flying up to Friday Harbor, whose identifier is Kilo Fox Hotel Romeo. Let's go ahead and board from the back, and that way you can get a nice view of the interior of the aircraft. And the ladder that deploys to help you get up into the cabin deploys right from there. Pretty slick, huh? German engineering. Gotta love it. Alright, let's go ahead and hop up there. Just double checking some things up here. Then we'll get down into the cabin. Just making sure that the struts are good, meaning the struts for the engines and the inlets on the bottom look good, and flaps look good. Static wicks are all in place. Good. We can get down off of here. Let's turn ourselves around and get up into the flight and get up into the aircraft here. So it tells me that the door did not close. Nope, it did not. And that is on the checklist, as you'll see. We're going to be using the checklist that is on the built-in checklist on the multifunction display, because the checklist that Microsoft, or I should say Sobo, has a lot of nonsensical things that simply don't make sense. So that's what we're going to do. Beautiful interior. I mean, look at that. For an amphibious aircraft, it doesn't get much better than this, everybody. It really doesn't. Let's see what their table looks like. Very nice. Very, very nice USB chargers and everything. That's very, very nice. Overhead, everything looks good. I'll tell you all about this aircraft with regard to its specs operating specs, that is, as soon as we get underway. Alright, let's for number one, let's get rid of the yoke. We don't need it because I have one. Alright. And we've already got, this is already up and running. That's odd. Huh. Interesting. Well, we're going to turn in, plug in, I should say. Let's see what the weather has to say. 3024 is the, okay, so we're going to run through. And the reason I'm going to do this flight a little differently than I have in the other YouTube videos that you've seen of mine is because the patron that requested, the only paying patron, which we sincerely appreciate your support, they wanted not only for us to fly this leg in this aircraft, the Dornier Seastar, but they also wanted to see more of the outdoors. So what I'm going to do what they wanted to see, and I can also instruct on how this aircraft functions. Without going through every individual minute detail, which I can do. Okay, see right there, that, I don't know, there I barely touch it, and the airplane, it does have some problems, but we'll, yeah, see, that shouldn't have happened either. That should, I don't know why that wants to go into beta range, which is reverse. I don't know why. Anyway, let's just say that they did not fix hardly any of the bugs associated with this aircraft when they released, when Asobo and Microsoft released the, see, that doesn't work. That shouldn't be there either. Huh. Hang on just a second here. There we go. It was as if someone was messing with it. They wanted to see, they, they, uh, they messaged me and said they wanted to see more of the outdoors. And since they are a paying member, it's the least I can do to go to accommodate their requests. And it's a good idea when I think about it. So let's just enter in the altimeter real quick. 30, what did it say? 3034? 3024. Okay. Alright. I did land at this airport coming from Seattle. In the citation longitude. That video is available on the YouTube channel for free. You can watch that. And you'll be able to compare the weather in that episode to the weather in this episode. And it is night and day, really. Yes, cloudy, but at least we have 10 statute miles of visibility, which we do. Yes, 10 SM. Good. Alright. Let's plug in the flight plan, and then we'll get to it. We do know, by the way, that we're going to be flying at 9,500, so let's go and get that in there. Very good. Alright, destination is, like I said, Friday Harbor, and we'll be utilizing the water runway up there. The harbor, the land, well, it's not really a water runway, it is a harbor. The patron likes, apparently, from what I gathered in their message, they like amphibious aircraft, and they love Alaska, so I said, well, it's perfect. Perfect thing to do. And we'll be operating amphibious aircraft all the way from here, all the way up to Anchorage. And I believe, how many flights do we have here? That's going to take us from here to Friday Harbor, and then after that we're going to go to Port Hardy in Vancouver, British Columbia, crossing into Canada, hugging the coastline. And then from Port Hardy, we're going to go to Prince Rupert, and then I'll share with you, once we get underway here, I'll share with you what else we're going to be doing here. I would test the emergency battery and the stall warning and the fire warning systems and everything, but they did not fix that in the update. None of those tests work. So we're going to go and turn on the nav and beacon light. It doesn't take much to get this airplane up and running, to run on the emergency lights to armed seatbelts, and no electricity. No, I'm sorry, no electricity. No electrical devices for takeoff landing. All right, cabin power. We can turn that on as well. Give everybody in the back electricity. But let's go ahead and dial in our destination. Kilo Fox Hotel Romeo. Enter. And that should have insert that. And now we get to input our route, which is Kelna. The first navigation fix, that's Kilo Echo Lima and November Alpha. Enter that. And then after Kelna, we're going to be departing, going to Disco. So Delta, India, Sierra. Something told me that this is not the only navigational fix in the Western Hemisphere with that name. Just taking a guess. Yeah, 3 different fixes for a disco. One in Tokyo. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, what you want to do is pick number 1. It's almost always, if you do have more than one, you'll want to pick the one closest to you. Therefore, and the other thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the latitude and longitude that is shown is closest to your latitude and longitude. That works with very short flights such as this. Other flights, if you're doing longer flights, then you do want to cross-check that with your sim briefing, and that is what I use to brief flight plans. Alright, let's see if that is accurate. It is. Let's move that down a little bit. Alright, we want to do a departure out here with regard to the winds. We'll be using runway 22. Insert that and activate it. Alright. Altitude and speed. We're going to be cruising at 9,500 feet. So 9,500. Okay. Very good. And let's look at our fuel and weight. The one thing that you will find is you need to have something here, even though we don't have any passengers as you saw. Let's go ahead and tell it we're going to have 5 passengers. You do have to have a numerical value. 0 will not do the business. It will not. Even though there isn't anyone back there, it wouldn't. The compute button will not function if you do. Same thing with cargo. So we're just gonna say we have 250 pounds of cargo. now it's able to compute, and now it has computed. And now we have our V speeds, which are also in relation to the runway. 22, send, and you'll see in the PFD on the speed to ape, there they are. V1 is at 92 knots, rotate at 93 knots. V2, which is our safety speed, which is our minimum maneuvering speed, is 103, safely maneuvering speed. And we'll make sure that the aircraft is cleaned up, meaning gear flaps up at 140. And that has all been sent, and we're not ready for landing yet. That will come later. All right, let's get the transponder set up here. 1200. Let's go into detail here. 1200. It's a VFR because we are flying VFR today. And we've got transponder select 1. ADSB is on. And traffic, we disable traffic. I disabled it because I got tired of aircraft taxiing through my airplane and taxiing or just appearing out of nowhere, and so I disabled live traffic for that reason. Alright. Good to go. Good to go. Let's go through the checklist here. Cockpit prep, we've already gone through everything. Yep, external power is it's not there. Generators 1 and 2 are on, yes. Double check that. Yep. Alright. Fuel quantity, as you can see, full load of fuel on both wings. Good. Fuel pumps off, engine mode 1 and 2 off, engine bleeds are off, ECS, which is the environmental control system, is off. Windshield, inner separator 1 and 2 off. Prop eat, everybody there is off. FTI power is on. Emergency battery test, well, like I said, none of the tests, testing systems, lamp tests, etc., none of them work. None of them work. That's already set to that. C mode is already set to. C mode is off, therefore the button is dark. Power levers are there, and the prop levers are set to max. Condition levers are cut off. Flaps set for takeoff. That should not exist. You only set those flaps when we are ready for that to happen, which is when the engines are running. So that is an incorrect. We did that. We've already done that. V-speeds are determined. Checklist is complete before engine start. FIT recording doesn't work. Parking brake, it is set. Emergency, you see hydraulic pressure is at 3,130. Nav and beacon lights are on. Checklist is complete. Engine start. Rear door, we made sure that was closed. Voltage. Fuel pressure. Okay, we're going to be turning those on here. Oil pressure, started light off. Okay, good. Voltage, we know about that. And we'll be doing all this simultaneously. Oil pressure for that other engine is going to be good to go. And we're going to be ready for after engine start. So, let's start engine number 2. Let's just get that one up and running. Main pump is on. Standby pump is also on. If you leave it in auto, by the way, the CAS, the crew alert system up here, it doesn't like that for whatever reason. Regardless of your phase of flight, it wants it to be on at all times. Automatic, it doesn't like that. I don't know why, it just doesn't. So we'll turn our our mode selector from off to continuous, and we'll go ahead and turn the bleed on for that engine, and we will start engine number 2. And we'll monitor the start. just to the left of the PFD. And watching an NG for a start, ITT for a hot start. And here comes the light off right about now. There we go. Looks like a good start to me. Starter is cut off. Oh, I should say cut out. Good. Let's go for engine number 1. Continuous. And start. Oh, go. Same thing for the number 1 engine. Watching NG for a hot start, ITT for a hot start. There is the light off right there. Now we do flaps 1. Monitoring that, the start light should be cutting out very soon, and it did. We leave these mode switches in continuous ignition until we get up and away here. Alright, now that that's going, we turn on our environmental control system, turn on the inertial separators, because we do not want any foreign object debris going up and being digested and or sucked up into the engine inlets. Let's get the probes on, probe heats on. Let's turn this up to get the airplane warm. Auto, and the recirculation fans go on, and the defog also goes on so we don't fog up the windows. And let's look at everybody else. Low idle flaps. Yep, everything is where they need to be. Alright. External power, we never added the CVR test. We cannot perform because it doesn't work. Fuel pump checks, they are on. Everybody's on. Bleeds are on. ECS as required, it is on. And separators are on. Prop heat, that's the temperature here, 12 Celsius. Yep, 12. We do not need that. Probes are on. ECS blowers auto set. They are. Altimeter is set and cross check 3024. Check and the FO. Yep, 3024. Avionics are set. Departure briefing. Alright, here's the briefing. V1, I do not. If something happens prior to V1, we will close the engine. The throttle's going to close. I'll bring the airplane to a stop, and then we'll assess the situation. If it happens, if something happens after V1, at V1 or after V1, we will take whatever problem that occurs at that moment. We will take that problem into the air with us, and we will mitigate the situation and figure out what we need to do based on checklists and coordinate with ATC. Any questions? No questions. Good. Flight instruments check. Flight controls. Engine flight controls are free and correct. And the rudder is as well. Flight controls hydraulic pump is auto. Right there. Nose wheel. It is on. Yep. Good. Checklist is complete. Taxi. Taxi lights, transponder TA is already set. Brakes are gonna be loose. Are gonna be brakes will be checked as we taxi out before takeoff. We're practically there. Yep, that's good. Auto feather is armed. Flaps and trim rechecked. Cabin. Strobe landing lights, those will come on. Prop, conditions, cast check. And now we're ready for the after takeoff checklist, so we knocked everything out in one sweep. Because we don't want to be doing that on this runway and or taxiway, because part of the taxiway used to be a runway, and now it's a displaced threshold. And the runway that we'll be using, we have to do what's called a back taxi. For those of you that don't know what a back taxi is, we have to enter the runway. Not at the beginning, but towards the end, towards the end of it, and then we have to go down to the beginning of it, turn around, and then we'll be lined up on runway 22. So we're gonna begin taxiing out here. Make sure those condition levers are set low idle. Yes, they are. Alright. And there really is no way for me to check the prop pitch, because I can move that lever all the way to max and all the way to minimum and back up again, and the engine instruments would never show a change. And so we can't do that, but what we can do is check the reverse thrust, which in the airplanes with a propeller, reverse thrust simply means that the pitch of the blades move, and that is something very, very important with this aircraft. So let's go ahead and check that out real quick. And we're slowing down. Yep, they do work. Very good. And now the pitch of the blades are changing back here. Alright. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Alright, we're going to be entering a runway here, so landing lights come up. Strobe lights on, and wing lights on as well. Alright. Once we get up and moving, we will pull up the weather for, let's see, does it really mean the displaced threshold for runway 22? So we gotta do a little bit of a back taxi. And then we'll do a 180, and we will be there. And as I said, the reason we're flying this aircraft is because the patron member said do it in the Seastar, and as I said, alright, we will do so. Okay, let's turn on our timer on the yoke. Make sure our condition levels go to high idle. There we go. And there we have, engines are coming up for takeoff thrust. I should say they're ready for takeoff thrust now. Okay, brakes off, here we go. Auto feather is armed. You can disregard that error warning. It'll go away on its own. That is not me, that is the wind pushing us left and right, even though the windsock is stable. Alright, there's that crosswind. Positive rate gear up, please. Flaps up. Thank you. Oh, that nose drops like a brick. It's not really supposed. That's not really how it's supposed to work. Alright. Let's execute a right turn. You may say, you didn't do any radio calls. No, I didn't, because I know that there isn't any air traffic. As I said, I have the live. If I didn't say it, if I did say it already, my apologies. The live air traffic, I disabled it. And the reason I disabled the air traffic was because I was being clear for takeoff, and a airplane would appear out of nowhere as I was taking the runway, and it was landing on top of me, or I'd be waiting to take off, and just before lining up at the runway, an airplane showed up from nowhere, touching down right in front of me. So that's no fun. Not a fun thing to deal with. So that is why it's off. Take a look at the airplane outside. You know what? Let's see if we can fly nice and low so we can enjoy the scenery. That is what the patron wanted. Let's do that. Let's fly lower. Let's set it up for 2,000 feet, and if there's any terrain in the area, turn on the yaw damp and the flight director. If there's anything in the way of terrain, then we know how to deal with it. We'll simply fly around it. How about that? And we'll get on course here in just a moment here. Let's bring the power back a little bit. Alright, let's go direct to Kelna now. Direct. Activate that. And we're going to turn on autopilot. Nav. And we should be leveling off. See, now the standby artificial horizon is saying we're overspeeding. The PFD says we're not. So which one is it? Let's go ahead and turn off those inertial separators. We don't need them anymore. We could utilize more air going into the duct in the first place. It does take about 30 seconds or so for those inertial separators to completely open up. Open the inlets, that is. Alright. I think we can increase the RPMs here, which is what the inertial separator is all about. Once those two flats move and articulate out of the way, and you get 100% of the airflow going into those engine inlets, then we can really take advantage of the aircraft, of the engine's torque. Alright, we are now. Hey, bring those engines back just a little bit. It doesn't like the terrain ahead of us, even though there's plenty of separation there. Let's hop up to, 2,500, even though it looks like we're going to be going right through that mountain pass on the terrain here. Yeah, I don't see any issues with regard to running into anything, really. It looks like we're going to be just right. If you fly in Alaska, in a small aircraft, in small aircraft, like I've had the privilege of doing, and if you go like for a scenic flight, you would be amazed as to how low, how low those guys fly up there. You'd be very, very amazed. Let's quickly run through the after takeoff checklist. For those of you with a mobile device, here's what we're going to do. Gear is up. Flaps, those are up. Power levers, we've got those under control. Autopilot off if we're passing 10,000 feet, which we're not, so it will remain on. Taxi lane lights, assuming it's above 10,000, we're not. And we're ready for the approach checklist. That is out of the way, and now we can enjoy the flight. Let's increase the engine just a little bit to get a little more torque. Little more torque. Little more. Alright. There we are. 82%. Hopefully it'll stay that way. Alright, let's turn right. Let's go right here just a little bit. Picking up a little bit of rain. And if you're wondering if the windshield wipers help out, the answer is no, they don't. Sorry that they don't. Alright, now let's go left here. Beautiful day to do it, really. Very, very nice. And if somebody would like to see it happen, here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's not raining anymore. Alright, well, so much for that. If it does pick up again, then we'll, there we go. How do you like that view? Doesn't get any better than that right there. Look at that. Gorgeous. Gorgeous view. Again, this is what the patron member wanted, and I said I would do it. They wanted to see more of the scenery, even though they enjoy the aircraft, and they do send me private messages on YouTube, and they've been a big supporter from day one, and so I enjoy that loyalty. A little bit of a rainbow going on the left there. It just disappeared. Alright, let's go manual for just a minute here. Let's do a little bit of Alaskan style flying, just a little bit. We still want to go on course, so let's go up to, it's looking like 3,000 might be good. Yeah, we're picking up thermals, coming off of these mountain tops. The thermal takes place when you have hot air rising in one area and it goes up, it gets cool as it goes up into the atmosphere. And what happens? Hot air rises, cold air does the inverse of that, so that's where you get a thermal up and down, updraft, downdraft, and that is what happens. And let's just re-engage Kelna to, for some odd reason it did not accept, that's bizarre, it did not accept disco. Delete that. Alright, are we good to go back down to 2000? I think we are. Let's go back down to 2000. Autopilot is activated. We do need to go to disco. I don't know what happened. That's a little unusual. Let's go. He's changing on me. I'm in the route. After Kelna, we gotta go to disco. Let's see here. Delta, India, Sierra. Enter. Insert. Activate. See if we got it now. Yes, we do, and it is there. Very good. Activate that. Turn our nav. There we go. Alright. Sorry about that. Remember, I am primarily a Boeing driver. I'm used to just automatically picking up the LNAV, and I forgot this airplane doesn't do that. Alright. Let's go back outdoors, see what's going on. There we go. Beautiful. As I said, this is our first leg in our adventure up to Anchorage. And again, only utilizing amphibious aircraft if we possibly can. And we have a couple of other aircraft in the hangar that are wonderful aircraft to fly. The Grumman Goose and the Grumman Albatross. The Albatross, the one that I fly, it has a pretty unique flight deck in that it is fully Garmin. It has a Garmin G3000 interface, and it works very, very well. And those massive radial engines are just amazingly powerful. Let's switch over to our lights, landing lights being in pulse mode. Because of the reduced visibility. Let's go ahead and set up the direction that we're going to be landing here. Let's get a weather report. When was it last reported here? 0153 Zulu. So almost an hour ago. So it should be pretty up to date. Altimeter, let's just get that out of the way. 3021. Alright. And the winds are, let's see here, winds are 210 at 10, so 210 at 10. Alright, we're going to be, let's just look at the math here real quick. Alright, we'll be landing to the west on the, in the harbor area. Let's see what the weather is like up there. Looks like, here we go. All right, let's set up a runway. No, let's not do that. Let's set up a runway 210. So we would, in theory, we would be wanting runway 16. Visual 16 vectors. Insert that and activate that. Let's get rid of the weather on there. Let's just see if we can. And terrain, let's get rid of that. Let's go back to this here. There we go. That is what I wanted right there. Alright, so we need. Alright. We'll do a crosswind landing on the water. That means that we need to come in low and slow. So we already, the low part of the equation is already there for us. Look at the weather one more time. It's not showing any weather. That's good. All of a sudden, I don't understand why it's acting like this. All of a sudden, the flight plan goes away. Discontinuity, get rid of that. There is no discontinuity. Misapproach, next leg undefined. Well, yeah, I got rid of it. That's the one thing about this aircraft, any of the aircraft really that utilize Honeywell premise flight deck in Microsoft license 2024. It's buggy, just a little buggy. Let's go to landing here. Let's see, what is our destination? Let's get rid of that altogether. Let's go to Friday Arbor, which is already in. Weather. 12 degrees on the centigrade scale. 1, 2, and enter. T-comp. Oh, compute. Altitude 1000. Let's see if it does it right. Enter that. What we'd like to do is just get this completely. Well, this is why we're flying VFR. That's all I gotta say. We should be getting a. I was just seeing what this thing does. It doesn't really work, so. DICO. That's where we are. Amend the route. Destination. It just isn't there. Let's do this again. Just go into KFR. Next leg is unavailable. Why can't I get this thing undone here? That's alright. We've got very, very good VFR conditions, and all of a sudden these displays are getting very, very bright. And now all of a sudden they're not bright. So I don't know what to tell you on that. Is it annoying? Yeah, it is. Alright, we're turning left here in just a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and drop on down to 1,500 feet. Get that out of the way. Alright. And nose down. And there we go. Alright, we have arrived. Turn all this off. Let's go manual. This is where we want C mode to go on. And we're actually going to enter a right turn, so we have some room to slow down. So what we're going to do is let's turn on the autopilot again, and let's get this going here. We'll go into a quick orbit as we slow down. And let's go through a checklist. Landing lights. Bring those engines back a little more. Flash 20. And let's go to the south now, direct. So let's go to heading a 180. And that'll give us sign to do what we gotta do with regard to lights and checklists. No longer pulse. Those are on. Turn the anchor light. Good. Okay, checklist, please. Landing lights are on. C mode is actually on, so that doesn't mean anything. Approach, that's all set. We can set it, the approach speed, but we know what we have to do. Auto feather is armed. Landing checklist. Gear is not coming down. It will after we land, because we're going to utilize the ramp that is available at the airport. And let's level off at 500 feet. nose wheel, that is not applicable either. Flaps, they will be there. Condition levers, those are already in the prop. Everything that's all ready to go. Alright, let's make that nice big right hand turn. Very, very maneuverable aircraft. Low altitude, as long as you're under 120 knots indicated. Let's keep on turning. Keep on going. There we go, right over there is where we need to go. So let's go. Autopilot off. Flight director is off. Yacht damper is off. And let's fly by hand now. Coming in nice and low and slow. That is the key. A lot of mistakes get made when you're not doing either one. Of course, it depends on the environment. That should never happen with the engine. I barely touched it. You really can't see it, but the landing, the harbor itself is directly ahead, and with the wind direction the way that it is, coming at us with a little bit of quartering tail in, we're going to be landing somewhat early. Flaps 30, please. I know that'll make the nose balloon, but the reason we're doing it this way is when you have a quartering tailwind and you're landing on the water, here's what happens. The plane will begin to slip like this. Yeah, I did it on purpose, but that's what it'll begin to do. So what you want to preclude that from happening by coming in real slow. Let's get the flaps all the way out to 40. And always remember, it's closer than you think. Okay, engines are idle now. Picking up a little bit of turbulence because the treetops. You get a little bit of wind disturbance as always. And right about here. Come in. And rotate, not rotate, but bring the nose up. This is where you bleed off the airspeed nicely. Show you what I mean. Now those engines are spooling down. The prop, that is. There we go. And nice and easy. There, yeah, that's how you do it right there. Around 75 knots is where we touch down. The airplane is made for a sea state of 2 feet, and this is nowhere near it. So we're going to utilize a little bit of reverse to get us slower. There we go. And And this is where we utilize this right here, our bow thruster. Bring those flaps up. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. Now we're much safer. It looks like we have a little ways to go, which we do, but this is the safest way to do it with these winds. Otherwise, very, very, very bad things can happen. So, welcome to Friday Harbor. And when I say harbor, I mean harbor. The actual harbor itself. Hope you enjoyed the flight. Let's enjoy maneuvering this thing like a boat. 'Cause in essence, that's what we are. At this juncture, and we can clean things up a little bit. We can turn off the auto feather and bring the engines to mode here. That's good. And the standby pumps, we can bring those to auto. Auto and auto. As long as the primary pumps are on, that is what is important. And we're getting closer to the ramp. As soon as we get near the ramp, we will lower the gear. It's kind of fun to drive in the water, really. And that's the building we want directly ahead. Yes, it is. And since they have yet to fix the issue of the aircraft, any aircraft, from speeding up when the engines are idling, so landing gear is on the way. Acting like the airplane doesn't want to have any responsiveness. So we do have a failure. There we go. For some reason, the engines were stuck in the beta range, aka reverse. And we just want to drive up and onto the water ramp over here. Let me zoom in real quick on the map here. Have I been here before? Yes, I have. And the water ramp is right over here. Where are we here? Oh, I see. My bad. We landed way too soon. That is my mistake. I apologize for that. Well, my big apologies for that one. Hopefully we're not landing We're not on any let's come out into the water and get off of whatever shelf we're on so we can get the landing gear up. Alright, let's get the landing gear up again. There's no reason that we should be taxiing in 30 feet of water. That's what I thought. And all of a sudden it takes off like a racehorse. They had some serious problems, to say the least, that they have yet to fix. Serious issues. The navigation map doesn't work as it should. And for some odd reason, C mode is what we're supposed to be on. Ground speed of 13. Okay. If you want to know how much more we have to go, not far. Let me zoom in and show you. Alright, you see the runway? There's a little tiny peninsula that sticks out. That's our target right there. That's where we'll get on land and hop on to land there. Parking brake is off now. Always remember that unless you found the magical setting that I haven't, whenever you retract or extend the landing gear, regardless of what aircraft you're in, the parking brake comes on automatically. Not good. Alright. The ramp, as I remember, is just to the left of those buildings that you see. Yeah, that's the only reason that the stall warnings are happening on my PFD is because the AOA vane and or the tab, whatever you want to call it, with the water is making them flip up and down, up and down. So whenever they go down, that's when you get the stall indication. Just in case you're wondering about that. And I can see already where the water gets real shallow. The water thruster right here. I mean, that is just an unbelievable help. Okay, landing gear down, please. Parking brake off. Don't know why it does that. It's so annoying. If you can see it coming up here, there we go. we'll turn around right over there, and then we'll come on to dry land. And make sure that your condition lever is at low idle, not high idle when you're doing this. You do not need that much thrust to taxi in the water. Alright, let's turn in here. There we go. There we go. And now we're back on to terra firma, so to speak. That's the other ramp I could have used over there. Taxi around here real quick. A little tight, but we can get around it. And let's get out of the main taxiway here. Let's park. How do we get out of the way and remain out of the way? Let's go right over here. Right about here. That's good. That's good right there. Parking brake on. Welcome to our condo. Welcome to our condo here at Whiting Harbor. Parking brake is on. Let's do the after lane checklist here. Let's get those lights off. Strobes are off. Landing lights off. Taxi lights off. Wing and anchor lights off. And get these lights off as well. We'll turn the beacon light off when the engines are off. So those are off. Condition levers, auto feathers already off. Condition levers low idle. Well, we did that already. Auto feather is off. Lamps are off. Trims are 0. Well, they are technically. And the shutdown checklist. Parking brake is taxi lights are off. Nose wheel high is off. Nose wheel steering is off. Hydraulics off. Sign tells me that the alright. Hydraulic pump is off. ECS blowers, those go off. The defog in the recirculation fan goes off. Pro heats off. Engine modes go to off. ECS floor. Okay, back to ECS. Ice, windshield heat, those are off. Anyway, prop heat is off. Never add them on. Inner separators, ECS, coming off in a moment. As of right now. Bleeds are off. I just turned them off. Power levers. Idle F1. Prop. Leave them where they are. Condition levers. This is what will make the engine stop, of course. Let's see how the props spool down here. Alright, that's what that looks like. Engine mode 1 and 2 off. Already. I just did that. Fuel pumps off. Emergency lights off. Those are off. The recording, that doesn't work anyway, nor does that. Light control switch pins and batteries to go. Alright, so basically it's a cockpit flow that goes right to left for shutting down, and for starting it goes from left to right. So we got everything turned off. It needs to be off. Make sure the thruster is off as well. Interesting that that is not on the checklist. I find that interesting. There should be a checklist for a C mode, and that checklist does not exist, which is a shame. Alright, electrical battery 1 and 2. That's what is left to go. So we're gonna turn the battery, the generator's off. The cabin power in the back for the in the passenger cabin is now off. Battery 2. Make sure we got everybody up here off. Everything else is off. Yes. Yes. And let me just do a quick flow right to left. Everything is off. Battery 2 is off, and this will turn everything off. Oh, real quick, if you wanted to know the flight summary that the Honeywell premise gives you. Took off 0304 to Zulu, landed at 0308 Zulu. That does not make sense because that would mean that the flight was only 4 minutes. Flight time was much greater than 4 minutes, so disregard the flight summary. Something happened. I don't know what happened, but the flight plan system within the MFD began to go haywire toward the end of the flight. So anyway, very last thing to do. Double check the parking brake because we don't have locks with us. And battery 1 is off. Everything goes off now. At least it's supposed to turn off. Everything is off. Okay, why everything is on? I don't know why. I really don't. Everything should be off. So we're just going to leave it that way. Eventually, what would happen? The batteries 1 and 2 would die off. So it's like those are. Make sure those switches are also in the opposition. All right. Well, again, welcome to Friday Harbor. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you're a paying member of the Patreon website, then you get to choose what airplane we fly next. And all you have to do is hop on the Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. Hop on their website. Go to the Premium Deluxe page, and you can see what aircraft are available. As more and more money comes in, then I'll begin to allocate it and buy an amphibious aircraft that is really that has been programmed very, very well. So well that I can do more and more interesting flights like this. So we'll see how the Grummans function. If that is what the paying patrons vote for. If you want to know where we're going to go next, let me look at our overall plan. Friday Harbor, the next flight we're going to do takes us into Canada. hugging the coastline of Canada, that is, because the next location is CYZT, that's Yankee Zulu Tango, and that is Port Hardy up in Canadian British Columbia. Ought to be a fun flight, and like I said, we're sticking with amphibious aircraft because those are the most adapt aircraft for this kind of flying, as we fly all the way to Anchorage on the via the intercoastal waterway, and we're trying our very best to fly as low as we can so we can gather as much scenery as we can. This airplane is pretty advanced with regard to all the embedded checklists and things of that nature. So, with that said, hope you enjoyed it. And for those of you with on a trial basis, if you like what you see, if you enjoy the content, and if you enjoy the way I teach and instruct as well, please consider becoming a paying member. The trial period is going to last for a few months, and then after that, there will be no more trial periods because we will begin marketing this very heavily, as we will be showing in Oshkosh, the real Oshkosh, the person-to-person, not any online version of it. So, with that said, I hope you got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed the scenery. Hope you enjoyed the aircraft as much as I did. And take care. And until next time, as always, fly safe.